inquiry unit, I began with a big question that covers the unit. In this case, the unit was about post-Confederation and development of the West. So I thought about using the question, was Confederation successful? I then went to my overall expectations for Strand A and broke down the unit into 8 themes, including things like provinces entering Confederation, the Pacific Scandal, the building of the railway, and so on. And I found cartoons about each theme that students could conduct inquiry on in order to explore those themes. This way students can explore the question, was Confederation successful, in a variety of different ways. I then developed my learning goals based on the overall expectations, plus one for media literacy. Analyze and assess actions and events following Confederation, develop an understanding of change and continuity, and apply the techniques of cartooning. We do have a number of different textbooks in the back of the classroom, which we do use. The key thing is we don't pick up the textbook and start on page 1. We start with our inquiry question, and then we go to the textbooks for information as needed.
That's what I like about it. Like, it combines a lot of the subjects together. Like, usually, like, for history, we might learn about the average person of that time, but now we're learning about, like, political cartoons, what they used to do in that time. Like, all sorts of unique things that they did do that they don't usually teach you. Which I think it's safe to say that the older way that we used to do things was kind of boring in a way. We didn't really, like, have much. It was,
And now it's more complex and
more interaction with the students.
Yeah, more interaction with their classmates, more group projects. Yeah. Which is good, and I actually like it. So, unlike where the traditional open a textbook, here's a page, here's some worksheets, and you study it.
Once I have my learning goals, I think about success criteria and assessment. For analyze and assess, I had the class develop criteria for a successful nation, including things like having a good economy or having peace and protection. For inquiry itself, the class developed criteria for good inquiry questions, including things like it must be answerable, it must be open-ended, it must lead to other questions. For change and continuity, I adopted OESSTA success criteria, including things like identifying changes, explaining why, and determining progress and regress. For techniques of cartooning, I adapted the criteria from the Critical Thinking Consortium, which included such things as having captions, symbols, and caricature. Based on these success criteria, I was ready to develop a plan so that students would be able to get feedback throughout the process, and so that I could collect different types of data to assess this progress, including using rubrics, checklists, and anecdotal notes.
I really like how it's a process where you don't have to always, have your head in the textbook, and you can have different criteria for different questions. You can, use the blog as a way to kind of explore the whole history unit. And I just like how it's really open-ended for anyone to just talk about it and to be able to have the different sheets for guidelines. So I feel like this is a much more fun way of learning rather than the textbook way. So.
But you still use the textbook, don't you?
Yeah.
But you use it for like resources and like gathering information, but it's not like you're just doing like you get a worksheet and you have to like fill it out using the textbook. This is like you create your own ideas of how you want to answer questions, and like using textbooks and the internet and like using your class, it's a more interesting way to learn.
So the textbook is just one resource you go to.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the key things with using primary sources in the classroom is really to keep it simple. I chose political cartoons because they're accessible, they're engaging, they're pictures and images that students really enjoy. So using primary source documents does not necessarily mean that you're getting the archives involved, that you're bringing in rare documents and that sort of thing, although it certainly can. You definitely want to keep it relevant to the part of the curriculum that you're covering. And another neat thing about primary source documents is it makes it local, so it's relevant to students in their community. was good in two ways. It helped them to be motivated and interested in their learning, and also helped them to work from where they were at, so that regardless of the student, every one of them felt a personal success as they worked their way through to the culminating task.
And it's a better way than doing textbook work, because textbook work you just don't get to see the picture of it, you just see words, and it's just better because I'm like a visual learner, and seeing more things visually is easier than just looking through textbooks.